Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I hope you're all doing fantastic. And today I'm gonna show you how to take a boring and down image like this and turn it something exciting and portfolio worthy like that. Let's do it. So here we are in Adobe Lightroom. So my vision behind this image was to make it dark and gloomy and they have a fog behind the car. So I started the adjustments. I knew the sky is way too bright, so I know I need to bring out the highlights on the sky. So I went to a gradient mask. I drew it right like this, and let's just switch off our mask. I start bringing it down, and basically how I work in Lightroom settings, I just go purely by eye. There's no certain rules or numbers that I'm looking for. I just purely go by eye, what looks good to me, what I'm trying to achieve. So for me, on this particular instance, 100% was a sweet spot. So we're done with that. So before, after, before, after. First of all, I see the car is not quite straight to my eye, so I wanted to bring a slight little adjustment. No, like this. That looks good to me. So then I want the car to stand out a little bit more. Just even though like this is sort of the look I was after, I knew the car need to be stand up a little bit more. I'm gonna grab the brush tool, show selected mask overlay, and as a rule, what I like to do is first, doesn't matter, I just want to outline the shape of the car roughly. Then I go to erase mask, bring the brush, make the brush smaller, and start to remove the extra parts that we don't need, the overlays, the shape of the car. It doesn't need to be super precise, you know, as long as it roughly fits the shape, it'll be alright. No one's gonna notice the difference. So now I just start to play by eye what looks good to me. So the clarity, the thing with the adjustments is less is better. So you want to be, unless you're trying to achieve some cartoonish look or something unrealistic, it basically is not right or wrong. What fits your preference. But for me, on this particular project, I wanted to make it look realistic. So I knew that I have to be very, very careful with the adjustments and be very subtle. So I start with clarity, and I think this is where I like it. Dehaze, I'll just start playing with it and see what happens. And I don't think I need to use it. And the texture is basically another way of making it sharper, but it's sort of, I noticed it looks better than a regular sharpness. So with the texture, I probably leave it somewhere around that. Then I know I need to bring a little bit of highlights in it. So, or try whites. Something like that. So if I go before and after, like you could tell it's a slight little adjustment, but it brought it exactly what I wanted to be before I imported to the Photoshop. So that looks good to me. So what I do now, I go right click, edit in, Adobe Photoshop. So here we are in the Photoshop, and as you can see, I have all my layers already there. And please don't take that as an advice. Make sure you get your layers all organized. Like I have, my workspace is so messy. My layers, I can never tell which one is which. I have to physically go and try and see what they do. A good habit is to organize your layers. Create folders, you know, for the lights, for the shadows, for the smoke, for color adjustments. You're just way easier. But me personally, this is how I was working for years and years and years. So you know what they say, you can't teach an old dog a new trick. So I'm gonna walk through all the layers I have here, so you can see exactly my train of thought and how I was approaching this particular image. As soon as I start working on it, I didn't know I'm gonna be replacing the background. At the beginning, I thought it's actually pretty cool. I love the industrial look. But later on, I went through, there was like something was missing, and I went through back to my images, back to the Lightroom, and that's when I pulled out that awesome sky image I have over there. Okay, so my first layer here is the sky, but I'll leave it for later. So I'll start walking you through all the layers. So first thing what I did, I knew that I want to add some sort of a smoke or fog behind the car and make it all moody. So what I usually do, I go to the web browser and I type in fog, PNG. Make sure you always put a PNG because it makes your life way easier. So when you find the kind of image of smoke that you like, I'll just go copy image, paste it, and to get rid of all the blacks, just put it in screen. So once you have a screen, remove all the black, and then what you can do, you can just start playing with the opacity. You know, obviously that doesn't look real. So again, it all comes to your personal preference and the kind of image and look you're trying to achieve. And this particular case, again, I was going for a realistic look. So for me, again, like with all my Lightroom adjustments, I have to be very, very careful. What I did here, I've created this layer. If I put it 8%. So if I put it 100%, you see what it looks like. What I do, I put opacity 8%. And as you can see, it's currently covering my car. Oh, it's not my car, but I mean the car at the photo. So what will we have to do? We have to create a mask to cover all the unwanted elements. So there's a few ways of approaching it. What I do, and again, don't take that as an advice, it's wrong. Even though I tried many times, I'll still go back to my old ways. So the correct way of doing it is using a pen tool. Use a pen tool and you start tracing the car. This gives you the most accurate results. But for me, I use the old-fashioned, what is it called? Laser tool. And I usually set up the feathering to 1 pixel. So then what I'll do, I'll just zoom in. And as you can see, it's very dark here. So what I'll do, I'll just pop up the new layer, brightness, and I just crank up the brightness all the way up. So now I go tool, and obviously I'm showing you the rough example. I'm much more careful. So once you're all done, Control C for copy. And oops. And Control V for paste, and it just gives me the cutout of the car. So now I can add elements and not worry it's going to be overlapping the actual image of the car. So we go to our smoke. What I did here, as I was looking at the photo, I want to have a little bit more separation between the car and the background. And this is just give you tiny little bit more separation. That's all it is. So what's next? The next is, as you can see, this part of the window you can see through, and I want to just make it all solid black. So what I did, I just copy and pasted the right side to the left side. And the way you just basically do it, you go, select the part you want, Control copy, Control, sorry, it's not selected, Control C, Control V, and all I did is transform, flip horizontal, put it where I want it, and then just take the eraser, put hardness to 0, and just remove, obviously it's a very rough example here, remove the edges. Basically, in a nutshell, that's what I did. As I knew I'm going to be adding lights, so imitating there's an actual light rays emitting from these day running lights, I knew this part of the car on the front would be brighter, obviously as the lights and the rays shining through. So the way I approach it is, I think realistic results. What's going to happen if you put the car in a real situation like this? How are you going to see it? If you look at the car in real life, it's in a dusty environment or it's riding on the road, there's all sorts of dust and dirt and particles flying in the air. So when the light rays shines on those particles, they back illuminate them. So they become bright and stand out. So what I did again, I went to good old Google and I searched for dust PNG. And as you can see, there's a bunch of all sorts of elements. And then again, finding something that suits you and applying it to the model. And again, same thing, screen, and then you play with opacity. -22, and you can go as low as high as you want. But I found that at 22, I was getting the most realistic results. So, and then I just copy and pasted the same on the right. I wanted to have a dark tint, a bluish tint. So I have created a layer of the solid color, and then I just put it to soft light and reduced the opacity to 50. So that gave me this dark, sort of a bluish, blue hour light. And then I decided this part need to go a bit darker. So I basically created another one, but in this layer I've put an overlay instead of soft light. Next one is, I thought that the day running lights, they need to pop a bit more. So basically all I did is just took a pen tool and do like hardness to 0. That's essentially what it is. And the opacity is to 40%. So the next I have a little bit of dust clouds. And same principle again, you go to Google, you find for dust or fog, and you add the elements, you put them to screen, and you're playing with opacity, same thing. Then I added light rays for both left and right headlight. And what I usually do, if I go to light rays, you can see this light here. So go copy image, I'll go paste it. As you can see, it looks very unrealistic. If you look at the car, that no lights will just shine back down. So what I do, I go perspective. And I try to imitate how the real light rays will shine through at what angle. And then I'll go to scale, and I'll bring it down, something like that. I'll put it to screen, and as you can see, there's a harsh edges on the side there. So I'll take a razor tool and just clean them up a bit. Just like that. Like I said, all those things, they don't need to be perfect unless you're doing a poster for Honda themselves and they commission you this job. And as you can see, so same thing here, we got the sharp line, so we just increase the size of it and then start cleaning it up. And then you can start playing with opacity. Again, there's no right or wrong, it's purely based on your preference. I decided to go very modest on it. You see, just a slight little one. It's only 15%. If I crank up all the way to 100, you can see what it looks like. So in my case, 15 was about what I wanted. So this is just an extra layer of dust. I just thought I need something a bit more, and as you can see, this one goes in front of the car. Then I added, I think overall the image was a bit too dark. I need a bit more pop, so the levels, slight little adjustments. So at this stage I was looking at it and I was like, I'm not quite sure if I'm liking this part. So I will start thinking about the background replacement. So this way I went back to the Lightroom and I was going through my images, different sky images, And I thought, let me try and see what I can do with the image. How I did, I increased the whites for 30 plus 31. Then I go edit in Adobe Photoshop. So what I did here, I just went to my project and I grabbed the same color. And then I went to color. So this was a good starting point for me. So after that, what I did, I merged layers and I brought it back to my project, basically. That's what I did. And this layer was here. So after that, it actually blended quite nicely. So all I did is pick the razor tool, made it larger, and just erased the bottom of it. So what I did, I took the eraser tool and just cleaned it up the bottom of it. That's essentially what I did. And then you see how there's the light parts of the sky? I wanted to emphasize it a bit more. So I decided to add levels to it, just particular times. So creating a mask, and as you can see, I added a tiny little bit. I didn't go overboard. Again, I was going for a realistic look, and this looked just about right. So at this stage, I was looking at the car and I was like, if you see the car in real life at the blue hour, and especially it's a white car, you will see that there will be an ambient blue light that will be shining on the car, and the car will start taking the bluish tint. So I added bluish tint. I knew that when the lights are shining through, it will illuminate the car and will actually make it the color of the paint, which was white. So this part I left it white, so you know the physics behind it. And the bluish one, because it's a reflection of the sky, I've put it blue. So the last thing, I went and I grabbed Type R logo. Again, same thing, went to Google, I put Type R PNG, and I think that's the one I actually grabbed. So what I did, I've pasted the image, I scaled it up to approximately what I wanted, and I start playing with the different modes. Kind of like this one at first, but I kind of wanted to be monotone. So what I did, I went to subtract, and gives me this moody look. If you think that it doesn't stand out enough, you can go effects and add outer glow, and then just play around with the basically intensity, and you know, based on your preference. So, but in this particular project, I didn't want it to stand out that much. I wanted to be there and have that moody look and presence to it, not to stand out and overpower the actual image of the car. So the last thing what I did, I just thought that I want the image to pop a little bit more. So I added a layer of levels. And as you can see again, I added just tiny little bit of it. And here you go, that's the final image. Well, there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick little tutorial. If you found it useful, please like and subscribe, and also follow me on Instagram, Beyond Ignition. That will inspire me to create more content for you guys. And I guess the main takeaway here is to don't be afraid of experimenting and try different things. Go outside your comfort zone. You never know how you can take certain elements and apply in your future projects. So let's get creative.